The Cardinals play football this week. Whee!
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. It is week 1 week, baby. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast, Locked On Easy Cards. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or enter promo code LockedOnNFL for a water bottle with any order. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. So, it's a lot to talk about, obviously, this week. We are going to see Arizona Cardinals 2.0 in action for the first time. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be ugly? Is it going to be messy? Is it going to be cool? Is it going to be fun? It's probably going to be a combination of all those four things. And now we know who's going to lead the proverbial charge, as 6 captains were named by the Arizona Cardinals over, since we last talked. Kyler Murray, James Conner, DJ Humphries, Kyzir White, Budda Baker, Dennis Gardeck. Really, I've used this term a lot, Arizona Cardinals. Not like the actual team. That's a term that I've definitely used. I've said a lot that there are not many Arizona Cardinals on this roster, as the last regime really just piecemeal together talent from other organizations to cover up, other deficiencies, as it were, through the draft, etc. And it was really hard to build a culture, build unison, build uniformity, whatever it may be, that way. And when you looked at the roster, it was like, well, there aren't a whole lot of players that were drafted here, or players that have made an impact on this roster and decided to stay. And it was always DJ Humphries and Budda Baker. After Larry Fitzgerald left, it was kind of when I started really talking. It's like, how many Arizona Cardinals are on this roster? And now, when you look at it, I think James Conner and Zach Ertz are kind of honorary Cardinals. We'll see what happens with both of them after this season. My suspicion, my thoughts would be James Conner would stay and Zach Ertz would leave, unless he wants to retire, unless he wants to stay here, sign restructure his contract to be more team friendly, because I don't believe that they owe either of them any money after this year. But aside from James Conner and obviously Kyzir White coming over from Philly, being a Jonathan Gannon guy up until this point, signing a 2-year deal in the offseason, these are the Arizona Cardinals who are on the roster. Kyler Murray, DJ Humphries, Budda Baker, Dennis Gardeck. That's who they are. So when you're looking at it now with the roster at hand, and you're like, okay, are these guys is this the cream of the crop for the Cardinals? And it's the answer is yes. At least right now, with all the rookies, David Collins, I don't think is captain caliber yet. Isaiah Simmons wouldn't have been if he would have been here. The only honorable mention I think would be Jalen Thompson, but you can't make 100 people captain. So I think that they played the hits with this. This was the right move. And now you see the first real taking shape of what this organization is going to look like for the future, at least with the foundation of Budda Baker, DJ Humphries, Kyler Murray, you'd think. And, we'll see what happens with James Conner and Kyzir White. It's good as a reminder that, this season is going to be tough. Okay, the season is going to be brutal. But with that comes an ability to, kind of see what this team will be made of from their leaders down. And it's so important to remember these things during this process. And what do I mean by that? It's like, well, that's cliche. What the hell are you talking about? When you look at that list of 6 men, Even Kyzir White, who hasn't played a real snap with the Cardinals yet in the regular season. You see the guys that are who this foundation is meant to be built upon. Even Dennis Gardeck, who, I mean, we're years removed from his insane percentage of snap to sack, total. That was 2020, I think. But he's always been an Arizona Cardinal. He's a Pro Bowl special teams guy. He's a hype guy. Everybody loves him. He's been around for a long time. And he's a Cardinal. Kyler Murray, whether you want to believe it or not, this season is a Cardinal, and we'll see what happens in the future. But that was a big one for Jonathan Gannon. He didn't have to pick Kyler Murray. Like, the line couldn't have been drawn in the sand immediately. Nope, not our guy. Zaven Collins, TBD. Definitely not their guy, but if Zaven Collins produces from his new position, where he probably should have been playing to begin with, we'll probably see him as a captain next season. But all in all, and I'm not making a huge deal out of captainship. Like, it's great, and you know who your leaders are. And I think that it could be a lot worse for where the Cardinals are now as directly correlated to their captains, because through the captain entity, they're good. And that's good, especially with so much unknown moving forward regarding this organization, starting with week 1. Having said that, with that, if I may, who the hell is going to start week 1? We can hit that. Next, this episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Bird Dogs. I love Bird Dogs. If that could be the live read, I would say that 100 times, and I'd give a promo code at the end, and we'd be on to the next segment. They want more explanation as to why. So this live read is exactly that. I love Bird Dogs, not sufficient enough, and it makes sense. Okay, first off, to make you look good, okay? I wear, like, in Arizona during the summer, I can't find my jeans because it's 3,000 degrees outside. So that transitions me into shorts, of which I have a bountiful amount of Bird Dogs because they're so comfortable. Okay. They look good. They've got this stretch khaki. Okay. And these shorts that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg that gives you a truly sculpted look. They do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better. Okay. They fit way better than regular shorts. That's why I just wear these things. They're so comfortable. They fix the issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches to get way slimmer fits without having to sacrifice movement. They use anti-stink sweat wicking fabric, really important during the summer in Arizona, that keeps you cool and dry all day long. They're functional for any occasion. Okay, you can golf, you can go on a date, pool, workout, lounging, you can go to work in them, whatever you want. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or enter promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. So with the captain thing, again, Alex Clancy here, Locked On Cardinals. I'm the captain of this podcast, as it were. Self-appointed. Just because I was hired to host this podcast doesn't mean I'm a captain. Self-appointed since 2017. Go to the YouTube channel, please. Search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit subscribe. Turn notifications on. It doesn't work for you. It tells you when a new video's up. I think that's pretty sweet. You know what isn't sweet? Who is starting for the Cardinals in week 1? The anti-sweet. The antithesis of sweet. What are we doing here? It's so funny. So I've discussed this tens and tens and tens of podcasts this offseason. And for me, it was always Clayton Tune over Colt McCoy, always, without a doubt. There was zero upside in starting Colt McCoy. So I won. I won that. Josh Dobbs is like there were rumblings. Oh, saw this coming. Saw Josh Dobbs coming. No, you didn't. And if you did, good for you. The quarterback has never amounted to anything in his history of existence in the NFL since, the last 4 or 5 years. Good for you. Hopefully that wasn't the rooting, the force, where it's like, oh, I hope Josh Dobbs is starting week 1 for the Cardinals. I don't buy it. It's my dad's coffee cup. I think I bought it for him when I was 12. So going into week 1, all joking aside, this is a terrible situation. It just is. Kyler Murray's out. The only surefire way that you would have known that Kyler Murray wasn't the guy for Jonathan Gannon and Monty Osborne in this future was if they would have traded for another big-name quarterback. That didn't happen already. So now you're looking at Josh Dobbs and Clayton Tune, 2 not-so-great options, probably ranked 31st and 32nd in the NFL. I guess there's probably 64 with backups. They'd probably be in the 60s, both of them, for options. And it's kind of a choose-your-own adventure because it's going to be an adventure. Josh Dobbs knows Drew Petzing. Cool. Clayton Tune, really good in college recently. Well, that doesn't translate to the NFL. Awesome. Josh Dobbs almost won a game last year. Okay. I don't know what his performance last year playing on a team for 4 days has any sort of correlative to this year. Now, Josh Dobbs, by all accounts, great locker room guy. People are going to love him. Got a really good head on his shoulders. This is not I have to say this. I have to disclaim this from time to time. It's never a personal attack on anybody. Personally, never. Ever. It's not the goal here. It's Avatar 1, Avatar 2 as quarterbacks. There's quarterback 1, quarterback 2, Clayton Tune and Josh Dobbs, or vice versa, whatever it's going to be. So with them being bridge quarterbacks, I guess, I still don't see a downside in starting Clayton Tune. I've said it since day one. I don't understand why Josh Dobbs just roll in and get the starting job because, he's not going to perform at a level of NFL caliber. Otherwise, he would have been doing it already. So excitement of the unknown. And this isn't, okay, so this isn't like Colt McCoy was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago, and I'm saying, no, Clayton, start the rookie. Start him. Who cares? That's not what this conversation is. The margin between Clayton Tune and Josh Dobbs is razor thin. Maybe not razor thin. It's thin. It's a tie goes to the rookie kind of thing. When this is until he shows he's Nathan Peterman, you don't start him or you start him. And if you're wrong, you pull him. This isn't a matter of, this must be made. This decision must be made because there are 2 quarterbacks. This is Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins in DC, where it's you got to pick one. Well, Robert Griffin III was 2nd overall pick, but Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback. So what do you do here? It's not that, okay? It is not that. So I think you need to, start Clayton Tune, deal with the consequences early on, and if he shows that he is not an NFL caliber quarterback, you bring in Josh Dobbs. And I think it's pretty clear that that's what the Cardinals should do, and we will see because we still don't know who's going to be starting less than a week away from week 1, which just adds to the fun. With week 1, let's have a little conversation about it. First one, Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. All right. Everybody that listens to this podcast knows how much I love FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. Again, new customers, you bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Again, now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnNFL and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Final segment, Alex Clancy here, Locked On Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Every dayers, thank you for hanging out. If this is your first listen ever, thank you. If this is your 800th listen since being here since 2017, thank you very much. This year will be clunky. This year will be weird. This year is going to be fun. This year will be uplifting. And this year will be the new beginning that everybody wanted it to be. So, going into week one, what are we looking at here? I'm going to talk about it a lot more tomorrow. Talk about it with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders on Thursday, and then I'll give the final, the final breakdown on Friday. But like me on Sunday is the Cardinals defense versus Sam Howell. That's what I'm going to be watching. And sure, you want to see the offense. You want to see it hum. You want to see things like that happen. You want to see Michael Wilson. You want to see Paris Johnson Jr. You want to see all those things. And of course, I want to see all those things. That's obvious. But the thing is, what this defense needs is the foundation to start being built. And what needs to be seen is who is immediately going to be a part of that foundation. Which players on the Arizona Cardinals defense will be able to make up for loose ends elsewhere, to make up for weaker spots elsewhere. Is Jalen Thompson really going to take that huge next step forward into Pro Bowl land? Is Zaven Collins going to smell the Pro Bowl from his new position? Is Kyzir White going to come in and be like, this is my defense? We don't know. Is Marco Wilson going to be a CB1? Like, all of these questions. Sure, the cornerback room is going to be bad. Sure, the interior of the defensive line is going to be bad. It's going to be fine. This is a rebuilding process. You can't do everything in one offseason. That's what I'm looking for. Because if it was against Patrick Mahomes like it was last year when they got beat by 100, it's not really a litmus test. Starting defense against Sam Howell in week one, that will be. If Sam Howell lights them up, it's going to be a long year. And I'm sure they're going to get better throughout the year. It's going to be a long year anyways, like all of these things. But if they can play at the level of an NFL defense against a guy who's never started a game before, or a meaningful game, let alone week one, it's like, okay, this defense may be better than people expected. Even though, he's not a top 5 quarterback. He's an NFL quarterback. But if the Cardinals get beat up by Sam Howell, yuck. So that's what I'm going to be watching. Like, that's the most exciting part of that for me, is to see how the defense can eat. Can LJ Collier come in and just look at Seattle Seahawks and be like, I cannot believe you let me go. I cannot believe that you didn't pay me the money I wanted. The Cardinals have pieces on defense. They just need the glue. They need to find the guys who can fill holes of maybe not so much talent, weaker spots. Find guys who can play a position and a half. And the journey embarks on Sunday against Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders. I'm going to do way more of a breakdown, as we continue throughout the week. It's going to be fun. Football's back. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. I will talk to you tomorrow.